Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Ruach Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles, the announcers, the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. We're the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Asherallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to go ahead and talk about the parting of the Red Sea, which literally happened by Moses. Now, I wanted to bring this up because a lot of brothers have been coming up against this false statement that one body has made, saying that the parting of the Red Sea was not literally done by Moses, but that it was a allegory. Because the thing is that besides it being reiterated in the Bible over and over again about that it literally did, talking about how Pharaoh's army was killed and all these things and all these other basically scriptures that prove it, there's also historic archaeological evidence that proves the parting of the Red Sea. Okay, now you have groups like the One Body, which they're straight up agents, man. When you look at them, it's a facade of what a Hebrew Israelite group should be. But you know what, before I get into that and the evidence and the proof that I want to bring out regarding the parting of the Red Sea, let's read this first. This is 2 Peter 2:1. But there were false prophets also amongst the people, even as there shall be false teachers amongst you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And that's ultimately what's going on. You see, this group here, One Body in Yahushai, they're going to bring upon them swift destruction. Okay, now when you look at these guys, they're a joke. Okay, if you're following these people, man, you're destined for the fire. You're destined to be destroyed, right? It's very obvious that these guys here, these idiots, are set up. Okay, that or they're either extremely going off. Okay, they've been extremely blinded, but more than likely, because of how they came out of IUIC, which, you know, other than their IUIC being a set-up camp as well, right? Nathaniel being a ex-New York detective cop, disappeared for a few years and then came back out of nowhere with this grand IUIC group. Man, that thing has been set up, right? And when you look back at previous organizational powers like the Black Panthers, the Chicano movement, right, the Cesar Chavez Farmers Union, all these groups were co-opted by the US government, right? And they all did it by basically setting up false leaders, right? Leaders that they financed and that they gave the resources needed so that way these false leaders could then get followers. And that's exactly what One Body is, man. When you look at One Body, they're basically a copy of IUIC, but with a different sort of flavor. So that way they could bring in these different type of Israelites that IUIC hasn't managed to get. Okay? Now, one thing about Esau's tactics is you got to understand, man, he's not going to come out, because if he knows that he cannot infiltrate a particular group, what he's going to do is set up multiple sister and brother groups, so that way he muddies the water. And that's exactly what One Body is, I believe, right? They're simply a set up group that are set there to basically make up false doctrines, to basically throw up, you know, when you're, let's say for example, you're looking for one specific needle, right? What One Body and IUIC and all these other groups that have been set up and that are agents, is basically Esau throwing up a bunch of needles into the sky and letting them all fall amongst the one needle that you're looking for. you see, he's trying to confuse the message, right? And he does that by hiring these devils like this, man. So let's go and see what this guy said, or this group said.
Today's class: Moses never divided a Red Sea, but he rebuked a wicked nation.
All right, look at that. This guy's even missing a freaking stone on his ephod, right? So you see, these guys here, man, they're a bunch of... One, you never even seen these people, man, right? You never seen these people making videos, right? But here they are, all set up, you know, prim and proper with their matching uniforms, their they're going off message, right? They're simply put there to deceive the Israelites who are waking up, right? See, Esau is hoping to capture some of you Israelites while you wake up, man. So anybody who is watching these guys, who thinks that they're somewhat giving somewhat of a good message, you need to wake up, man. These guys, they're going to lead you to destruction. Now, let's read this. This is Titus 1 and 10. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, right? Meaning there are a lot of people who shouldn't be preaching or prophesying this truth, right? Especially of the Israelites, right? People of the Negro, Latino, Native American nation, right? And why is that? Verse 11, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sakes. And when you look at lucre, it's basically ill-gotten money, right? And that's ultimately what these guys have done, man. They have sold their souls, and they're attempting to still sell your soul, and basically so that way they could get rich in this world. And that's because, one, they don't believe, right? Or they believe that they'll be forgiven and all will be good at the end. Well, that's true, right? At the very end, once they're reborn into the kingdom, but they won't be forgiven for teaching false doctrine, right? The Lord says, man, that if anybody offend a little one, right, or teaches one to not keep the truth, he shall be counted as least in the kingdom. And that's ultimately what these groups are what's gonna happen to the people in these groups, right? They're out there preaching lies, and they're pushing out damnable heresies, right? See, because when you look into the parting of the Red Sea, not only is it recorded in historic events, right, and also the Bible first and foremost, but there's been actual archaeological proof showing that there is evidence for the parting of the Red Sea, right? And the image that you're seeing here is an actual, I think, from 1984. Was it 1984? It was either 1984 or 1974. There was basically, there was a diving group that was searching for evidence of Bronze Age relics in the area of the Red Sea, right? And what they came upon was close to about 400 dead soldiers. Well, at least their armor, that is, right? Because their bones and everything had, for the most part, deteriorated away, or has basically been overgrown by coral, like what you're seeing here, right? And in this case here goes a body or armor of an Egyptian, right? But basically, like I said, it's covered in coral, right? Also, you got this is a chariot wheel. Here's another chariot wheel, right? When you look at it from the side, it doesn't look like much, but you got to understand that there's no organic item, right? Or, you know, for a lack of a better word, that would make this type of shape, man, right? So after inspecting it and going through with sonar, what do they find? They find that it is actually an axle of a chariot, right? A bronze axle, okay? And this was not the only one that was found. There's, like I said again, they found close to 400 armored soldiers down there, or at least their remnants, and they found, I think it was 40 chariots, okay? Now, that being said, these are all the physical, literal evidence that was found in the Red Sea, in the same place, Sukkot, which is where the parting of the Red Sea took place. This is Isaiah 53:1. Who hath believed our report? And whom is the arm of Yahweh Ba'Shem Ashai revealed? Well, it's not one body in Yahweh Shai. Those guys there, they do not believe the report written in the Bible, right? You see, because one thing that you got to understand when you come into this truth, when you want to turn to the Lord and you want to, basically please Him, you got to understand that everything in the Bible, everything is real, okay? When I first came into this truth, I didn't believe everything in the Bible was real until the Lord slowly but surely started to reveal all the facts that, I needed, okay? And the thing is this is one of the stumbling blocks that the people of this world fall into, man. Though it may not be relevant or may not be something that you would consider that would happen in our current generation, it literally happened before, right? In previous generations, okay? And the thing is that you have to believe, but ultimately, the thing is that belief or faith is a gift from the Lord, right? And these guys here at One Body in Yahweh Shai, especially that guy who made that ignorant statement, they don't have any faith, right? Their faith is in money and the carnal things of this world. This is why they say that Yahweh Shai never made miracles. This is why they make all these different blasphemous remarks, right? But again, that or that they're straight up agents who are set up to basically muddy the waters. And I believe it's the latter, right? These guys here, like I said again, fell away from IUIC, and they wanted to make their own thing, right? I'm sure they were probably approached by a government agent or something of that nature, and they were offered a startup fund so that way they could do what they needed to do. But lo and behold, chances are they were probably told that they had to start coming up against some of the things that were being taught, right? And this is why you got people like him, you got people, I forgot his name, the guy who ended up killing the leader of the Black Panther movement, right? People who are basically co-opted and taken over by Esau and his system, and are ultimately used to destroy our people, right? And that ultimately is a curse upon our people, man, right? You have a lot of our people who are traitors, who are out there to simply try to make a buck at the cost of your personal soul, right? See, they don't care about you, and this is ultimately why the Lord is going to destroy a lot of our people, man. Besides this being a curse upon our nation, this is something that is a damnable heresy, an offense that had to happen. But like Yahweh Shai said, man, woe unto that person whom these indignations shall come through, right? And that's ultimately who these One Body in Yahweh Shai are, man. Screw those guys, man. And like I said again, man, if you're following them, you're watching any of their lessons, thinking that, hey, they have a good approach or the good message, forget that, man. Those guys are straight up agents. You should not be watching any of their lessons. You shouldn't be listening to anything they say. Basically, avoid them like the plague, because again, behind them, you can bet your last shekel, man, that the government agents are right behind them, man, probably getting the names of all the followers and all the people who are coming to them. But either way, man, I digress, right? And again, that's all, I'm just speculating, but I wouldn't doubt that's, far from the truth. But like I said again, man, these guys, they do not believe the report in the Bible because they don't have faith. They don't believe what the Lord did, the miracles He made, man. But again, one of the things, pieces of evidence, the prime pieces of evidence I wanted to bring out is known as the Al-Arish stone, right? It's a stone which, let's go and read it here. It says, this black garnet, 4 foot by 2.5 foot stone weighing 2 tons was found in 1887 on a farm at Al-Arish, laying on its side. It was being used as a water trough for cattle. It's dated to the Ptolemaic period 380 to 360 BC. All right, used as a shrine. The inscription refers to events 12,000 years earlier, 1500 BC, and tells the story of Exodus from Pharaoh's point of view. It also corroborates the biblical Exodus plagues of Egypt, Moses, referred to as the prince of the desert, and his Israelite followers are called the evil ones or evildoers. Okay, so you see this stone here, the El Arish stone, was found on a farm, and it ultimately, like I said, like it said there, it was on its side and simply being used as a water trough. Well, before, in the time of Egypt, it was used as a shrine holder, right, as a memorial for the events that took place. And when you read the inscriptions on the side, you see these little things here, right? Which literally, let's read what this inscription means. It says, inscription confirms the parting of the Red Sea, written about in Exodus 14. These hieroglyphs, 3 waves and 2 knives, translates into parting of the sea or parted sea. So you see, even in the Egyptians' historic records, they themselves record the event of the Red Sea being parted by the prince of the desert and the evildoers. Okay, this right here is proof enough, right? See, not only is this historic evidence, but this is showing the perspective from our enemy's perspective. Okay, and you got to ask yourself, man, why would these people who are not Israelites write this, right? Because it was a memorial. Just like today when you have the 9/11 memorial over in New York, right? Why would America put that up if it didn't happen, right? Same thing. Why would these Egyptians write this down and memorialize it if it did not happen, right? There you go. See, this is proof, right? Let's go and read this too. Besides this also confirming the part of the Red Sea, it says it confirms that the bones of Joseph were taken to the promised land, which is written in Exodus 13 and 19. When the evil, and this is what it says, when the evildoers left Egypt, they took the guy, which is the name that Joseph had in Egypt, with them. Nickname was given to Joseph. Also confirms the location of the Hebrew camp where the sea was parted, as mentioned in Exodus 14:2 and also in 9, as Pekharti, right? Paharath, right, is what it's called in the Bible, but the Egyptians called it Pekharti. Also mentions is how Pharaoh chased the queen mother Tefnut as she was leaving with the departing Israelites and was later married to the Hebrew leader Caleb, son of Yephthah. You see, so this right here is showing you, man, there's archaeological evidence to show you of these biblical events. But this is what people like One Body and Yahweh Shai do not want you to look into. This world does not want you to know about this. And why is that? Because if you were to know about these physical artifacts, just like if you were to find out about the Ark of Noah found up on the Turkish mountains, then there would be a lot more believers than there are today, right? But again, this is just the way that the Lord wants it, man. He wants this hidden from a lot of people, because ultimately, man, he doesn't want this to come to the ears of everybody, right? It tells you in the scriptures in Zechariah 13 and 8 that only 1/3 of Israelites are going to be saved and 2/3 are going to be destroyed, right? And those 2/3, I wholeheartedly believe it's going to be the people, that the One Body in Yahweh Shai, that group is going to be counted amongst the 2/3 for doing the wickedness of what they're doing, and also for simply being unbelievers. This is Revelations 21 and 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and the murderers and the whoremongers and the sorcerers and the idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death, right? And what is this talking about, right? The lake that burneth with fire, that's talking about the nuclear annihilation of America, which is going to come at the end of World War III, which we are soon approaching. So, man, if you are part of One Body in Yahweh Shai, or you're following them, man, you need to depart and get out of that group, man. You need to either be on your own, or come on over to Great Millstone, right, where you can easily get the truth, man. It may not be pretty, but it's the truth. Okay, so hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. Till next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders, great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.